focused. Go to Camp Cud. It's actually my favorite spot to stop because I like know it by memory.
data, and you got your steps in. Win-win.
fuck did that guy come from? Are you looking at it? Or what are you looking at? Are you playing Call of Duty? It's okay, I died too.
An automatic qualification to the grand final. So to give us some numerical value, we'll just say it's worth 1,000 points. But checking out that top 10, right, it is so heavy up there in those points, and every single time somebody goes down, even after top 25, you do just get so many more points. So when you get down to the nitty gritty in the end game, you really got to fight for every single position because it is so worth it.
It really is. I mean, you saw yesterday as well here that some teams that qualified through the Victory Royale process, they were having a terrible day, and suddenly it all changed in that one game. So anything's possible today. The teams as well, these are the duos. Sundown, walk us through who really sticks out for you.
Well, immediately on this first page, the first 11 duos we see are the new duos. And I mean, there are some big names in there. Immediately, the FaZe duo, the veterans now at this point. They used to be the young boys. Now it's Mega and Dubs pushing through. Voil and Accept also being in there. Creo and Vert in that group. I mean, Spegu and Charlie, just especially considering that a lot of the underdogs, quote unquote, ended up winning a match yesterday. The pool who's coming in today, they are very much so seasoned veterans. They have been here before. They've had this experience, Vivid.
You had a lot of players, just to point out, like you mentioned, right? We have some couple players coming over from Session 1 into Session 2 who unfortunately did not make it through, like Muzz and Avery, obviously a big duo there. We also have a Knifer and Bilo who we've seen some late from them.
And 60. What? 30 and 60. Christian says go. Fine. What? Wow. Why, Jordan? If it was mine, I would have opened it. I see him. Holy shit. Combat shotgun back? Nah, this is the heavy shotgun. the other gun is the headshot. Someone over there. Some of the same as good as oh, shit. What? You fucked that kid up? Hell yeah. You know me. There has to be like one more person. I heard shots. Oh, I see him. And when I used to be as good as you and Mika, that was probably like season 1 before y'all started editing everywhere. Yeah, just go crazy now. Hit tap and you go like this. Yeah, we would get mad. Should we just push this guy? Shield, you see his foot? He's really running away. Maybe I'm Oh god. A new item cool as fuck. What item? Shield check. For real. Can you even show me my replays? Triple team.
I mean, do you know what? At this point, we're naming teams that every single one of them is more than capable of going through. I'm praying for Pamstone Fatch here, Sundown. I'm praying for you because
so am I.
Riding this train.
What do you mean?
run this train for a while. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But let us know, on socials. Let us know who you think is going to go all the way here, who you'll be supporting as well. It's all about you guys as well getting involved, and that would make it so fun for us as well. Guys, it is that time. We are about to head into Game 1, Day 2 of semi-finals. Remember, in this format, 5 games, every Victory Royale, the winners go immediately through the finals. At the end of the day, the top 6 teams outside of those top 5 will go through as well, making 11 to join the 27 already qualified. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be huge. The hype is real. Let's head over to our casters. It's SBG and Monster ready and waiting in the wings. Fellas, over to you. What you got in store for us?
Thank you so very much, Adam. Yes, man, it's a new day, a day for the pro players to reset from yesterday. Big day of games we had yesterday, but I would say players, pros, it's okay. Hit your little reset button, right, SVG, and we can get right back on that power train all the way through to the finals.
Yeah, it's a new day too. You know, wasn't enough beard on the casting desk, so I had to join you. We had to get a little beard. There's too much on the analysis. But you know, yesterday was one of the best days of Fortnite that I've seen in a long time. So today we gotta have high expectations, Monster.
I mean, absolutely. We saw how exciting the format could be, those wins mattering, and then, of course, those the top placing players, right? Being able to be consistent all the way through to the tournament. So there's a lot to play for here, and it really makes it for an interesting story. As we start to develop later, you'll see the narrative change a little bit. Players are going to want to root on those so they can win up at the top, but the battle bus is ready. So we're going to be hopping into game number 1. Let's get it.
All right, game number 1. This is the first one, setting the tone here. Yesterday, we saw so many players still up and at 'em after, let's call it the first 2 zones. It looks like a lot more contests happening here today, and this is going to be one of them, Monster.
Yeah, definitely. This is that drop spot, probably the most, I'd say, highly sought after location on the map right now. You think some of the other areas like the Sanctuary that has those mythic ARs or other, bigger loot availability as far as power weapons go would be the more dominant and preferred choice of drop, but no. Instead, it's Covert Cavern. Look at how many players we have here, right? So you have a team up to the north. Obviously, we know about the llama split. It's a great and powerful drop. That's another kind of backup option from this general area, but for the most part, players are fighting for this vault.
Yeah, you got to get the key card, though, and the NPC doesn't make it too easy for you. He's going to give you a little bit of a fight back when he goes after it. So we'll see how these two play this out. Well, could be 3, could even be 4 if that llama split team comes over and tries to get involved in this. But early on, we're seeing a lot of contests here. So many players going down early. It looks like Pledge has already taken out Creo, and now these two looking to claim Camp Cuddle early in this first match.
Keep in mind, this is Creel's first appearance today as well, as he did not make it to the first day, the first round of players. So we are introducing a new wave, a fresh wave of 11, all equally as determined to try to make their way to the finals here. So the stage has been set. The pressure is on for them. And players like Teo and Pledge, who had a chance yesterday, right? They're warmed up. They got those early game jitters out the way. And the player count is revealing to that story. Take a look here. Already 86 remaining in the lobby. Yesterday, we had 94 players leaning into the first closing zone. And this time, pacing completely different. So those are, I'd say, players' advantage from yesterday coming in right now. Probably just, shutting down those new players entering into the fold.
Yeah, and here's 2 new players as well. The duo of Edgy and Tahi, they talked about them on the desk. Really started off the season playing so well. They won the first Cash Cup of the season, and now we see exactly how they're going to play this out, because typically they've been uncontested on this north side, not necessarily going to be fighting teams, especially when Scented and Cold were landing on the south side, but they're no longer here, and we'll have to find out if anyone winds up fighting them for that.
That's very interesting. I thought it would have been Smite and Larson, but it looks like Smite and Larson actually move out. They decided to take on Mega and Dubs here. This is not a much easier choice, if I had to say so, but Mega in a full-on battle now, just looking to control this high ground, and as the veteran that he is, they should know better than to give up any, weak opportunity to get jumped on. And look at this. This is where they shine most. This is where they shine best. It's in the one-on-one situation, 2v2, clean kind of battles, but Mega's gonna get bested there. A little side angle. It doesn't matter as Dubs comes through, gets the trade here. Now looking for the full finish. It's back to square one.
Yeah, just simply trading those opponents, and it's a no-win situation for either team now because these reboots are so hard to successfully get off. We see Cold incented yesterday. They were trying so hard just to get one another back, but now Dubs is going for it, trying to get in the face. He gets some shots off, really not significant damage. They trade. Dubs is 1 HP, but can he hit the one shot he needs here?
Looking for the pre-fire here, doesn't quite find it, and man, talk about just this cold-blooded here, sitting in the face of the AR, sitting in the face of the shots and the pressure. He manages to go ahead and extend that fight just a little bit longer, but Smite says, no, buddy, we are the veteran eliminators. They've been coming back and forth. First it was Sensed and Cold, now it's Mega and Dubs. They're just adding players to the list of, you know, again, players they've been managing to take out. These are battles won, and one with good cause, right? Like, look at this. It was a pretty even fight between the two. The highlight shows that, you know, Dubs could have backed off. He could have done some other plays, but he just kind of threw in a towel there.
Yeah, shout out to Smite and Larson. They've been not afraid to take any fight. They're like, I don't care who you are. We are confident in our abilities, and it's shown to work pretty well for them thus far.
Yeah, for sure. Take a look at this. Reboot comes out, Smite going for a little build off here. Some shots are coming in, just giving himself a nice, strong, and comfortable area to work off of, just in case these opponents come on in, right? Just a little more territory, a little more domain to play off of here. Maybe put up a, I call it a bit of a front, right? A little bit of a facade over there. As we start looking at Fatch and Pam Stu, I mean, at this point, when is Sundown just going to be successful? When is he going to call the right crew here for Pamstu and Fatch? He's been betting all his chips on here and on this team day in and day out.
Oh, I gotta respect it though. He's sticking with his guys, and honestly, I believe in Fatch and Pamstu as well. They're very good players. They should be one of the top teams in this region that advance, but that's why you play the games, Monster. It's not necessarily a given. You have to figure out how to put yourself through in whatever lobby you're given. Just because you can succeed in the Cash Cup doesn't necessarily mean that's going to translate to the same players within this lobby.
I agree. Sensed and Cold are kind of the peak example of that. Dominating Cash Cup in duo performances, making them, you know, a clear favorite for the casters and the community alike. And then all of a sudden we get down to the nitty-gritty here. The big boys come out to play these custom lobbies. Things are a lot more difficult than anticipated for Spareborn and the K-Burb. This could have easily been a pick for me. Instead, I went with another trio, but here we have it. It's head-to-head action right now. Sparebow lets his guard down there. You can see there's a duo sliding on in there. It's Gold and Crew. This is a rough spot to be in now as he is down a member.
Yeah, and I was watching the Elim feed very early on. This was a fight that's been happening for so long. These guys have been kind of going back and forth. We see K-Verbs is already down, and Sparrow's trying to smack with that heavy shotgun. That thing does hit when you can find some shots. He got the headshot earlier. Now just trying to give himself some space to work with, and the materials are starting to run a little bit low, so he's got to play within what he's given, but it looks like another team's trying to get involved here.
I like this little mind game he's playing, though. Puts up some fresh builds down low and aims his way back up to the top here. Just trying to bait them in to a better angle. This heavy shotgun, like you mentioned, can do some serious damage. It has the firepower. And now Sparrow being tracked and looked after. Rituals and Neverfy have no idea where he is. At this point, I think they're thinking he made it away.
Yeah, they're out. They're like, all right, hey, props to you, tip your hat, get out of here. We'll go play the rest of our game. Sparrow's gonna have to chill there for a little bit, wait for his opportunity to really escape that fight. And we don't know if he has the card or not. If he does have the card, you have to try and play for that, reboot your teammate. But now we'll now see what he does as Ritual and Neverfy, they're disengaging.
Nice little disengage there. Proper move on their end to go ahead and slide on out. Little do they know they're going straight into the face check of the opponents, though. Should Gold look down this mountain, this might just be it. Wait a second. They do end up getting engaged on. Here's a quick look just to give you guys the full story of what was happening on the other side. Sparebow sitting there. The reaction, he's thinking to himself, hey man, we got away with that one. I'm hiding here. And Pamsto and Fatch are also hiding on the other side as well. Daily Bugle being a highly sought after drop spot today. My gosh, I'm just doing a little head count here. Roughly 5 teams looking to move on in. Check out some of the real estate, you know, see what's available. As Fatch and Pam are looking to recoup their position, recoup their losses here. Look at their material count. It's not looking too hot.
And this is an interesting POI. We have 3 players that have qualified from, there are 3 duos that have qualified from the Daily Bugle. And we see Teo and Pledge getting in another fight here. Looks like Creo getting knocked out earlier today. And we're just watching all this early game action.
Yeah, he was picked up, so that's nice for them to come back into this round here. So we start going through this little highlight pack. Take a look at that angle right there, right through the bars. That's a tough shot to make. Last round, Aiden, though, making it look nice and easy as they find their first team elimination there. And my gosh, how fast the lobby's getting cut down here. 42 duos remaining now.
It's got to be a breath of fresh air, though, for some of these players that played yesterday and had to deal with that massive surge in this first game. You know, now it's a little more relaxed. 82 is manageable. 94 is a bit ridiculous. So that gives you a little bit of hope that you're not going to have to deal with these absolute stackers. Granted, 82 is still a lot of players, Monster, but I would much rather 82 than have 94, and then I'm just fighting, you know, getting 400 or 500 storm surge damage just not to take a tick.
You know, we just got a little glimpse of the mini-map there on the wide shot. It actually reveals that the Daily Bugle is dead center of this new zone. Like, this is a very unique storm line that these players are gonna have to play off of. They're gonna all start to come up here, and now it makes sense as why Pam and company came down to take a fight, because, you know, Surge is going to be pretty tough to reveal itself, as this is one of those really weird terrains here. Look at all the trees, look at all the brush, right? Teams are going to be well hidden here. So Surge is going to be, it's going to become a problem, I'd say, for a fair amount of the players if this lobby doesn't start to cut down just a little bit here. For Joji and Rokane, they're using that vehicle to just enter into the zone for the first time. Clarity and Slacks, however, on the top scene here, are getting into fights with the teams on the mountain, looking for those open trade exchanges.
This has got to be a tough zone to play if you're not getting to that top of the bugle early, because then you're just getting held. Like we just saw with Rokane and Joji, this is about as far as they could make it in without starting to get some pressure on them. And they're like, all right, I don't feel like wasting all my mats and all my HP just to get a better position. Let's try and play edge. And now they're going to gatekeep the next team that comes behind them. And it creates this build-up effect that we'll see. Likely the south side is going to be absolutely stacked.
Yeah, for sure. And you can tell that Rokane and Joji didn't pick the best position for Surge here. The zone where they just came in from is kind of covered with mountains, right? Littered with all types of terrain that's covering their line of sight, and it's limiting how many, you know, other teams they can look out towards, making it very obvious, if you will, when they have to make the edits to these other bases. So if anything, they're becoming the first target here, and they're pretty much a victim to their own great positioning of avoiding players here. Honestly, it's an awesome spot if you want to stay low key. It's a terrible spot if you need Surge right now.
Well, you're hoping that the next zone doesn't pull straight north. Otherwise, you're going to be in a really tough position. But we saw that stat fly up. Rokane had the most elims of any player that is still around. You know, maybe a few players were able to rack up those elims. We saw Dan Clicks pick up a ton. Shadow in that first game had 7, I believe. So now we're getting into another fight here, but Bamstone and Thatcher quickly armored walled off, and that's not even going to happen anymore.
I respect that. You don't really get to see that very often. That's the first time we've been on this side of the barrel, and then all of a sudden Armor Wall's like denied. You can stop that push right now. That's the strength of Armored Walls inside Fortnite Competitive, and that's the fun part about Fortnite Competitive. No 2 seasons are ever really gonna feel the same, depending on what you know, Epic decides loadout-wise is coming into the round. And right there, you know, we're seeing our first instances of how Armored Walls can change the pace of the game. And then look at this: you let your guard down, all of a sudden Pan gets caught off, and this is Noshing them and jumping inside the base. Thatch with the one missed edit. It's gonna get shut down there by Goober and Nosh. Not bad for them. That armored wall was almost just one big fake out.
Yeah, it gave them enough time to disengage from the fight, and then Thatch and Pamstu were starting to take shots, and these two took the opportunity. They're like, all right, you guys are distracted. I'll just take this. Free shots on them, and that's an easy fight to win when you have a huge HP advantage going into it. But we're looking on the right side. Looks like Baka already dealing with some surge issues, and he's not going to be lasting too long here, Monster.
Yep, that's Glace right there. So taken out of the game already. Now on over to, oh no, Edgy as well taking out another team, you know, victim to the storm surge here. We talked about just because you have this great positioning up top, this is a very hard zone to play off of. Like, teams are just not going to reveal themselves, especially to the backside of this volcanic, you know, the mountain here outside of the Daily Bugle. You have to be on the front side. That southern zone is probably going to be your best area to find these tags. And look at this, Tahi's trying to just, you know, survive this at this point, sit this one out. 4 players having to go down, and no one moving at the current moment is, you know, disastrous for someone like Tahi.
Yeah, this is a poor spot to be in, and you think it has to start with off spawn. You know, they're all the way on the northern edge of the map, so they're going to run into less players naturally just because of the way the zones have pulled here than a lot of others, and you got to hit your shots. They obviously didn't have enough opportunities to grab Surge, and Ty's crossing his fingers, man. He's like, oh, please let this be enough, but I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, here it is. At least now teams might have the, you know, the need to move because the storm's already pushing them out. But again, this is looking like it's just a ticking moment at this point. You know, the storm surge is really going to catch up. One more big zap and it's all over. Tahi unfortunately jumps out a little too late there, deciding now it's time to push in and tries to waste as much material as possible, not to give anyone a small advantage here, and there they go. Edgy and Tahi fall to the storm surge.
That was one of the issues that they had when they haven't been doing well, is the storm surge on these rotates. So likely going to need to make adjustments here after that first game. We see Joji and Rokane were able to survive that first surge, but now look at the position they're in. Really nothing in their inventory besides this one big pot, and they're just barely in this zone, likely not going to be in the 4th one, so more damage is going to be taken on these rotates.
Yeah, walking a tightrope there. One strong gust wind and those guys might go toppling over. Looking pretty rough. They're basically balancing themselves with the one singular big pot. It's not enough for 2, so we'll see how that ends up unfolding for them. On over to the Goofy Goober and Nosh here. Much different situation. Sitting on a fresh, big refresher, allowed them to, you know, build this massive base, and notice they're not even digging into the chug splash just yet. Willing to go toe-to-toe, look for exchanges here so that they can pop these minis. This is like a small strategy you'll see pro players do. They'll save that 200 cap armor, you know, shield and HP value for the rotates, right? A little later, so a little min-maxing here coming out of the pro players. If you are wondering, like, why aren't they healing?
It's always a smart play too. You might think that you want to get max HP, but the minis or the 150 total HP is a lot more replaceable than it is to get back to that 200, like you said, Monster. And now Muzz and Avery seem to be in a fairly good position. They're trying to hold this lone player out of this zone, as they also need to make a rotate. So that guy will be trying to find them and follow their path. But ultimately, I think Muzz and Avery are going to make sure that person gets no free ride in the zone.
Yeah, that will be a pretty quick elim for them right there. And that poor shark girl is just sitting there. Or lava girl is just sitting there. It's not looking too hot. On over to Clarity G and Slacks, you can see the field really starting to open up now. This elevation at this point will start to come into play. This is the strength of having this position here. Not only that, it's very, very steep. They are on just about the border's edge here. So with this steep height position, look, teams are starting to come in, opting to use launch pads in zone 4. You don't see that very often, but that is what happens when the terrain is so demanding of players. It's going to cost you either one, a lot of material, or a lot of HP.
And you see, not only are the hills or the mountains a tough climb, but it's also there's nothing in the way. Normally there's a lot of trees there. They've all been farmed out, so it's just open space these guys have to get through unless you make it into the Bugle. And now we're just going to see these teams all trying to claim a space or a building within the Bugle. Otherwise, you guys are not going to be looking too hot after this zone. If 5th pulls, I want to see if we're going out and up or we're staying right in the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, I don't think there's any good location, like, at all. Up, to the left, to the right, down south. None of these look very appealing from this position because of how centralized it is based around this Daily Bugle at the current moment. And you best believe it's going to go back and forth as well. Joji and Rokane here just trying to make the best decision possible. They're actually going for a fight at this moment here, looking for a little something. Edit comes in. Joji pushing right through the box, loses Rokane in the process. He's down, not just out quite yet. Ooh, beautiful shot here. Joji showing he can take the 2v1 situation. He's not afraid of the battle. Look at that. picks up Rocane, throws them all in that quick moment there in an instant. And all of a sudden, they find some tag. They were looking for the refresher because they need a little bit more. And unfortunately, they give Otis and company a little too much time here to bounce back.
Yeah, Joji said, get off me. And he gave himself a second there, but not going to be enough, at least for the moment. He's going right back for the heal. I don't know that's actually going to get confirmed. We will see. It does have implications with so many other players around him, and another duo trying to get in on Joji. Joji doing his best, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They may run into another duo, but ultimately Joji's just running into other players, and down he goes. But zone's moving, Monster. We're seeing this 5th zone rotate, and it is going up on top of this mountain.
It pulled east. It pulled very far east as well. Look at this. Not a single piece of that low ground is in play. This is completely over the lip of the face of this mountain, and you saw how many players are trying to play that outer edge there, thinking, at what point do I go up and how much is it going to cost me? Do I follow someone's build? Do I start off the lead here? I mean, it's a tough decision to make, and just pay attention to that player count, guys. I'm expecting it to cut down pretty quickly now.
As everyone tries to get up that mountain, you know, you got the webs naturally hanging out in the POI that might help you be able to move a little bit. But on the opposite end, we see Teo and Pledge trying to get themselves out. They're buried down there, trying to get out of a bunch of builds and up into zone. Now on the other side, Nounsy and Spray, already 4 eliminations here, and they're in a really good position, especially with zone pulling in their favor.
But that's coming on down south as well. Still though, playing this upper terrain, right? So it's going to be a little bit of a steep rotate regardless of what. Out comes Gold. Gold still manages to stay alive. Okay. It was looking like it was Raz for him earlier. He's barely got a slither of shield on top of his HP here, but he's holding in right now, earning himself to top 25. That's a little bit more placement, guys. Anyone who's up right now is definitely, you know, a little sigh of relief if you made it this far and you're a solo. Just kind of, you know, it's just hanging on to the little thread here. But hold up. Nosh goes for the edit. Out comes the big bills. And oh no, the edit unfortunately could not come in, and he was just trapped up and boxed up on some move there. Big pickup and refresher for them now. This is everything you need for an endgame.
Oh yeah, it's such a clean refresh too when you take no damage and just get the entirety of the loot. They're gonna hit the pad. They have to go from one side to the other. We see people choosing to make their own bridge, but Nosh and Goofy Goober are gonna say thank you. We'll just jump on yours. Nosh does fall a little bit, but he'll crank back up, get to his teammate as the entire lobby starts to look to make these rotations. We're going into open space, then up a giant mountain.
I was going to say, honestly, arguably an even better position to have that floor lockout right there. That's going to make players have to go around them, maybe even open up some elim opportunities for them. Avery, though, has to be careful. As the lobby gets later and later here, it does become more and more difficult to stick those builds. Got to be a bit more patient, but he knows that better than anyone as the vet that he is. Muzz and Avery now, kings of the high ground here. They're sitting very high up. Not a lot of strong material. Really, the foundation held on by wood, so not too much to work with there. Clarity G on the other side looking for their first big set of eliminations here. They do, and will need a refresher here shortly as they're starting to run out of material.
And the zone's going down, so this is favorable for a high ground because it's going into wide open space. If you have the material, if you have the ammo, it's going to be a great position. But oh no, look what's going on. Sprite and Nounsy are going for it. And it looks like Avery and Muzz aren't even going to be able to contest that. That high ground is now given up.
Yeah, very easy high ground take. We knew it was going to be pretty simple because they were running out of material. And now you're watching it all unfold here for Nounsy and Sprite. This is the perfect spot to be in. A victory royale is all they have been fighting for these last couple days here. Off the contested drop, bit of a struggle, an uphill battle for them, but this is what happens when they can make it to the end game here. And it's still a long game in front of them for Clarity G, though. He gets shut down here, and it's not looking like it's Slacks and Clarity's round to walk away with just yet. But hey, 3 eliminations is nothing to overlook at as they now sneak into the lair. Oh no, he reveals himself. Back into the zone he goes. It's the best play he could have done for the situation here. And he finds someone in the storm. Stolen on that one. Oh no. And then just clapped out inside the box here, but it's Nounsy and Sprite who are controlling the hype.
He just ran a circle around those guys, and now we see Nosh, who's picked up a number of elims, trying to navigate through. He's running very low on build, so he has to get back to Goofy Goober. He goes down, and it's going to be the end of Nosh without a crazy play, and he goes. Now it's up to Goofy Goober. What can he do? 5 builds in a dream.
Man, we just keep seeing Beef and Nick play this outskirt here, being the kings of the low ground and playing the late storm, and it's just catching players off guard round after round here. But hold up, someone slips inside the box. Who is this? It's the last place curse who gets shut down there, and just like that, also wrapped up and out of the competition. This is now basically served up on a plate here for Sprite and Nowzy. They're coming down to feast here. It's time to go ahead and wrap up these eliminations, get this victory royale here. Beef is going for it. He's putting everything on the table, looking at, focus in and pull his best Peter Bot impression, but it's not going to be good enough as he gets put down into the low ground here. And the reset, just better for Nowzy and Sprite now.
Yeah, all those materials and refreshes were able to get them to that point, but quickly turned away. And now it is up to a final 2v2v2. Rarely do we see this. Beef and Nick trying to get into any position to make a play. Down he goes. Nick's got no hope, and it's a final 2v2.
Great little flick there, though. So now it's a 2v1 situation. Sprite may have jumped the gun just a little bit here, and Nowzy has to clutch up. This is one of the most difficult tasks you can ask for from anyone. No builds, toe-to-toe. That's one. Finds a second. Oh my gosh. We have back-to-back big clutch performances, and now Nowzy crowns himself all the way through to the finals.
7 eliminations. Absolutely clutching up. Sprite went down to go and try and claim it, but Nowzy holds still. He's like, all right, I got you, bro. I'm gonna take this, and then just wins that aim duel at the end. Welcome. You made it to the finals. That was a crazy last play right there.
He says, SBG, hold my mini shields. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here and show you guys what time it is. I want to clutch. I want a big play too. And he goes out, finds it, secures that victory out. Nowzy and Sprite here. We'll be seeing you in the finals. That was just game number 1. What a big game there to really kick things off and keeping it exciting, right? The pace just continues.
Oh, those guys are no stranger to these winner-take-all games. We've seen them do it before. Sprite had the clutch. Nowzy, hey, maybe he's trying to one-up his teammate. That was one great play, and that's only game 1, Monster.
Definitely just the start here. Let's toss it on over to Desto. We got to get the right reactions from the rest of the crew.
Nowzy, unbelievable. I mean, 7 eliminations there. I mean, this is the duo I picked yesterday to go through and win all the way. I think they're trolling me, guys. Suddenly, game 1 today, dominating. I've gone for that Clary. I've gone for Slacks and Clary. Do you know what? It doesn't matter. Brilliant work from these guys. Obviously, we saw the high ground there versus Muzz and Avery. They reigned supreme. And Sundown, they just did what they need to do. They worked it. They worked the high ground. And at the end, they're Nowzy just clutching up and giving us our first winners of the day.
Yeah, they put themselves in a position to win the match, and then when there was a little bit of a slippery slope, Nowzy was able to come up with the 1v2, but right now what we're seeing on screen is just what they were able to do from the high ground to really thin out the lobby, and this ends up being key, because if they're not putting this pressure down and using all of this excess light ammo, you can even see they're just making sure they're spraying down as many bullets as possible, and then when Sprite is out of builds, he goes to try and drop down and finish off one of those duos, but because they were able to burn through all of the excess utility the other duo ended up having, when Nowzy does drop down, he's able to take advantage. And watch this drop down. One of the things I want to really commend here is how he ends up sticking with the striker immediately after the swap. He goes through, he'll take a couple there, but he knows if he hits one good pump shot there, he's going to be okay. And that striker pump landing the final shot was just a huge clutch. Wasn't quite a 1v3 like Sprite's, but I'll take the 1v2 and the ticket to the final.
Paying homage to an old classic there. But listen, there are 4 big smiles amongst players right now. Obviously, Nowzy and Sprite, big smile on their face going straight to the finals. But DJ and Agers are sitting there right now smiling so large because they're like, yes, finally, Greasy Grove is ours. Let's hope, though, that nobody else wants to go up against those boys. But seeing that Sprite and Nowzy are now out of the running throughout this lobby, they're going to be so happy with an uncontested drop.
I love you said DJ and Ages. Obviously, DJ and Ages, we've said it so many times before. It's Ages and Rise now, but still, I feel you, man. We all feel nodding, go, totally feel you. Like, that's exactly right. Obviously, the POI opening up now makes it a massive difference for this team. And obviously, we saw a lot of teams there, a lot of players as well. We saw Beef and Nick getting a lot of, eliminations as well, kind of really working up their points regardless of the victory royale, still making a stand for going through in those top 6 positions later on. So hopefully, standings now we'll take a look at and see exactly how the leaderboard lies after game number 1 and see who is there or thereabouts after this. Obviously, you can see here Nowzy and Sprite, the very first winners of today, going through immediately through to next weekend's final, which is awesome. And game 2's coming up, but Sundown, There you can see Beef and Nick at the top. I thought so. 26 points, placements, and 7 eliminations.
Yeah, 7 elims, but then immediately my eyes drawn to that 4th place spot because 8 elims, but only 11 placement points. Av and Enkos got busy in the early game, and then also we'll look at where the 6th place line is. We'll touch on that every time because the top 6 teams do end up going through. Currently that pace, 32 points, a little bit above average with Sensuk and 33A Freeze holding it, and Knifer and Violet just on the outside looking in at 30 and 7th pivot.
Yeah, and obviously I'm smiling a little bit there, seeing Slacks and Clarity creeping in at 9th. Not a big gap between them and 6, only 4 points difference. But Beef and Nick, we saw them in the end game right there. They did end up clutching up a huge amount of placement points right there, 26, because they did actually get 3rd right there. So it is cool to see them in the end game, giving themselves potential to actually come into this next game, pick up another huge game, and continue along the route of getting consistent points every game, so that way they can secure a top 6 finish.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether or not we're going to see a lot more of these clutches as well, Sundown, because even the bottom half of the table here, 11th through 20th, we're still seeing a lot of performers, a lot of players here who are managing to score points.
Yeah, you can see there just on the outside of that front page, both Noisy and Teo, 27 and 26. A little bit of a drop there until we get into Smite Larson. And then we have pretty much the rest of the pack. But don't forget, we still have plenty of matches to play today. So if you're not in that top 20, you still have 4 more matches in the Victory Royales to go through. And like we talked about, Aegis and Rise, they're going to be really happy that Sprite and Nounsy are gone. Not only because they have maybe the opportunity to win a match out of Greasy, but because it happened in the first game, you now potentially have the ability to look at your game plan and be like, hey, in 4 games, are we good enough with uncontested drops to just end up in the top 6, like even though we're down that first match? And I'd say the answer is probably yes, if they're able to be disciplined enough.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely going to agree with that. How they played when they got off spawn yesterday was phenomenal. They just had troubles off spawn again. But a team that might be a little worried about the off spawn still is Mega and Dubs, because they have Smite and Larson right there trying to share the shifty shafts with them. Not even share, just try to take them right out of that drop slot. So it'll be cool to see how that develops, see how Mega and Dubs can kind of fight the foes that they are facing over there.
I mean, we talked about experience as well here. There's obviously, you know, Sprite and Nounsy who've been in the position before as well in semi-finals or reboot round formats. And they've, I think, a couple of times now qualified through this particular type of format. Does that experience this Sundown as well make a massive difference in this kind of situation? Because they seem so dominant there at the end.
So I think it does when it comes to winning matches. Like being able to play out those 2v2s, you have to be able to get there to have the experience of playing them. And that's almost a completely different game. I would say the battle between first and second to actually win a Fortnite game is almost as hard as just making it into the top 2. Because you're guaranteed to be taking a fight against somebody else who's trying desperately to do everything they have to win. But I think any of the duos yesterday who had the opportunity to now play today, we've never had this type of format before, where it's victory route plus consistency. So they automatically have a little bit of an edge.
It's kind of awesome, isn't it? This format's great. I'm enjoying this a lot. There's loads more coming your way. Game 2 is right around the corner. Let's head over to Monster and to SVG to talk us through everything that's about to happen in this second game. Over to you, fellas. Let's do it.
Honestly, I couldn't agree with Sundown more than that, right? This type of format, we haven't seen it before. It makes it exciting. Every game, there's something to play for. Every game, there's just more on the line. And then, of course, the overarching tournament, the story. How good can you be if you do not, or if you do, fall short and catch that second place round after round here? I mean, SVG, we were treated to a great game 1. Game 2 is almost here.
Oh yeah, and now you got a lot to live up to after that first game, so the storylines continue, and we'll see these players really start to dig in, figure out where they want to be, because there's a lot to play for.
Yeah, definitely. It's a spot for the finals that's on the table here, and it sounds like the battle bus and the bus driver is just about ready, so let's go in and get into it.
Game number 2, here we go. It is day 2, session 2 of game number 2, and early on we saw so many contests, so many players going back and forth on this early game. One team already eliminated, and one team has already moved on. So lobby getting a little lighter, not too much. We'll see exactly how these guys choose to play it, but go for Cavern. 3 teams in the same area once again.
Yeah, back with Noisy and crew here, trying to make the best of this situation. Now, we do know it's Princess Wolf, right? And AMT, they've been there this whole time, you know, trying their best at this drop. And so far, not too successful from what we've seen. But for Teed, right? For Teed and Creo here, or Vert and Creo, they're trying to make this camp cuddle drop work. And this is a contested spot right now, highly contested right here. And the last game, I mean, Creo was taken out first, but he was picked up by Vert a little later. So they managed to do a little something with their game, but it's not your ideal type of situation, being forced out of this drop, not really having the route to play off of. And it looks like this time they're going to go with the early rotate, trying to get ahead of the loot, right? The loot spawns, and get as much as possible.
Those two have been fighting at that POI basically all season. There's been nothing settled. They're going to continue to do it until the season's over, and maybe even on to other seasons. We can see Owl looking to go get his teammate's card, but it is stone cold steel in the way of those armored walls. Now, he's just going to grab it and get on out of there. He's going to have to find a reboot, hope to play somewhere else, and honestly, the team that was contesting him there looked like they didn't want any fights early on or even any more, because they placed those two armored walls and were simply just sitting there waiting for him to move.
Yeah, completely happy with the quick elim and just, you know, get out of here. We want to play our game. We're feeling good about it. Voyu and Accept, though, no strangers to battles, early game fights, and just being hungry to get after those top spots here. This is a team that has been very consistent over the years. What can they do now? Trying to make themselves another FNCS appearance here. It's Dayfan and J-Man who are on defense. So J-Man and Dayfan, I mean, they've been all over the map. Yesterday, played at least 2 or 3 drop spots today. Seems like they're pulling up a new one here in the Joneses.
Hey, if you're a Day fan, you gotta land where Day lands. That's the Joneses. He's following in his footsteps. He can't contest Day himself, but now he's moved on. Now it's time to go and take his spot. They were going covert yesterday, at least did a few times, and now really in a poor position. Both teams here are gonna have to do something quickly, because teams are just gonna continue to rotate into this area and they're gonna want to get involved. Neither team really has dealt any damage to either player. It's just gonna be a stalemate at this time.
Yeah, and Voyu is going to be one of the first ones to have to tap out here shortly. As you can see, his ammunition really starting to cut dry there. And you know, honestly don't want to be in this type of position where, you know, you're basically defenseless, right? Yeah, you may have some builds, you may have some other stuff to work with, but you don't have the ammo, then you can't protect yourself in this BR. So it's time to get on out of here. They're going to give it up. No tags, though. It's about as negative as you can go in the early game.
Now we see another fight going on over at Condo. A big shot there by Zuck, cleaning that one up. And then he's getting the other one with his teammate Freeze, and Zuck take this one. They're able to get the quick 2 eliminations, and I don't know. Was Zuck gonna push you away, Monster? If you're going down that early, you deciding to go right back next game?
Yeah, probably not for HD and Zuck. They're gonna have to think about, reevaluate this drop spot in this position. That's the second game now. They get shut down pretty fast there for Chubbs and Twix. We've seen a fight here break out time and time again as well. This is a very popular location for these battles to go down on. And it's just outside the Tilted Towers location too, so you know there's going to be players in the vicinity. This is actually Smite and Larson, so the quick rotate from up north cuts across the Loot Lake, and now all of a sudden they find themselves right on top of another team. Smite and Larson, man, just adding players to the list here at this point. Can they find another fresh duo in Chubbs and Twix?
They're doing the Noah Riley, Rezon, and Vadil strat of just like, we're going to find somebody and we're going to fight you for Storm Surge. And that's going to be how we do it every single match. And it's worked thus far. Actually, I don't know if it's worked, because they've yet to qualify. They seem to get these early game elims and then don't really get much more going on after that. Chubbs and Twix able to hold their own at least for a little bit right here, but not really anything left to their name.
At this point, if Smite and Larson can just get couple end games, I mean, I want to see them let loose. We've seen a few players already find their big clips here, and that's a team that can surely do it, just judging by the firepower and again the prowess, right? Not afraid to take on anyone. That's a team I can see just battling it out for one of those epic high ground moments here. Magnolia and Qual, this is a pick for me. 20 points right now in the competition, finds Rise here. You get to see the double angle, both perspectives. Unfortunate for Rise there, gets shot in the back. Wow, getting focused from front, so it was wraps for him. Agers trying to figure this position out here, very far from his teammates, so not sure how this story's all developed here, but now he's on the backside of the city, just trying to maybe play for the reboot card, right? He's gonna have to get back there, and it's up in the air, so It's a tough one.
And if you're those two, you're like, I finally get Nounzy and Sprite out of the lobby, and then I have to deal with people rotating into Greasy and fighting them. Just no luck on their side today, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck to succeed. And we'll see how it turns out for them. Maybe that won't happen again. Maybe they'll make adjustments knowing that more teams are going to be looking to third party that, because I know a couple of duos land on that southern side and that eastern side of Greasy as well. Both of those teams looking to rotate in and get some tags, but here's Edgy and Tahi. Didn't have a great successful game 1, but looking up here for game 2.
Sure is right now, as they have a lot of ammo, heals, and everything else to work with. You can see right there, they have not earned any points of that last game 1. They were taken out before they could even earn their first set of placement points. Already this game, okay, pacing a little different. Seems like players are, you know, maybe thinking, hey, we started a little too fast last game. Let's go and take a step back here. Because now a player just gets rebooted there, so the number jumps up to 91. But Sleepy Sounds, man, very interesting drop spot. Scented and Cold gave it up because of Smite and Larson, but all of a sudden, now it's just occupied by completely new duos. So everyone kind of playing mind games with one another, maybe psyching each other out of the drop here leading into the day 2 of the quals.
Yeah, I don't really know. Sleepy has produced some great results in the Cash Cup format, but hasn't necessarily translated in FNCS thus far. So I'd like to see exactly how that plays out in the finals when we get to that, but we still got a lot of games to play here. We got Lava Boy and Shark Girl looking to grab one of those top positions. Joji and Rokane hitting a little refarm here. This is my pick. I believe that they were on pace to qualify yesterday, but didn't really have the best second half, and I think they'll put it together here today.
Yeah, they have to put it together at this point. This map, you know, reveal right now is pretty center. It can pull either way. So for everyone on the zone right now, you know, it's fair game. Age is playing Deep Storm right now, trying to see if he could play a little sneaky pickup here. Looking at the map, there's a few players down south though, so there are some lurkers. Trying to see if they can listen into that reboot van. What is going to come about of this spot that he's found himself in? He has Zenki and Ducky right on the front side in a fresh unknown duo rotating from behind, which is Jackson and Fable Taco. That's right. They do land over at the windmills.
And that's a center of a first zone you can get. We see zones now going to pull to that southeast corner, but still fairly central when you see it. These zones are wide open, Monster, so this is a very tough rotate for a lot of teams as we get there. And, oh my goodness, nope. Rise is going to be able to get away.
I don't know about that. He's still sitting there. I think he's trying to time this pickup. But Agers didn't see Jackson, and Jackson didn't see Agers. They were both out in the open. And meanwhile, Agers was standing on that ramp. He went up to get the reboot card. And now he knows the vehicle is the dead giveaway. Take a look. He's aiming his cursor in that direction. He's like, oh, snap. There was a team here this whole time. Tension rising in the caster seats. But back over to Edgy and Tahi. They're just trying to make their rotate. They're trying to play this one out. Dead center is the location to probably be here, unless they haven't found any tags, and they'll be deciding at this point if it's worth jumping out here to take a quick fight. Uh-oh. Is it going to be against Larson and Smite, though? That'll be a big one. That's a scary young duo to fight right now.
Oh, yeah, and you know they're not afraid, but hold on. Look at this. We have two players trying to go for the reboot here. We know that Owl has the card. He came all the way from Chonkers. And Ager seems to know that there is a player here, so he's obviously aware of Owl in the vehicle. He's like, get out of here. This is my POI. I want to get my teammate back here. You go get your own. And now Ager's going to bring Rise back into this one. Owl's going to have to rotate and try and find something else, but both of them are well behind on this rotate. And that doesn't even include whatever time Rise is going to have to spend finding some weapons, finding some loot, and getting himself to a position where he's even worth it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You can just tell, man, Ager's going to go ahead and pick that one up. Does just enough to go ahead and fend him off. There is a duo waiting, though, on the outskirts there, looking inside. So pay attention to that feed to see what happens. And we're back to 91 players, so it dropped a few. We were like around 89, 88, and people have gotten successful reboots off. So this is going to be... oh, it's going to be a tough Storm Surge. It's going to be a tough warning coming in right now. 150 damage is the team that's lowest on the leaderboard for the Storm Surge at the current moment. For Clarity G and Slacks, they have a lot to worry about, only 3 above, so this is surely going to start fluctuating here. They need to start finding players, and quickly.
This is reminiscent of game 1 yesterday with how stacked this is. Everyone has decided I'm not getting contested off spawn. I'm gonna find my own spot and then take the fights later on, but another player has just come back in. We have 92 players now, so we went below 90. Now a couple more reboots come through, and now we're seeing everyone looking for those Storm Surge tags, but these tags at a distance only do so much if no one's getting eliminated. If no elims are happening, if we're continuing to keep the same number of players, someone has to get hit by Storm Surge. It needs to get below 70 before it goes away. It's not a timing thing, it's a number of players thing, and they're gonna be able to see, oh, it looks like Smite is in some action there. We know those guys love to take fights, and Thatch is actually the one picking up Smite.
You know, 2 things are guaranteed in life. One of them is having fun whenever you play Fortnite, and the other is Storm Surge. So, in this Fortnite competition, Storm Surge is surely here, and it's gonna do its work. It's gonna bring its numbers here. Rokane has to go open toe-to-toe exchange here. He finds a little baby tag, not the headshot he was hoping for. Another body tag there. Remember that the damage fall off is the most unfortunate part of this weapon. Yes, it's spot on and deadly accurate. You can aim down as long as you have that dot on the mark. It's going to hit. But unfortunately, it does not carry that same big pack of punch as the other rifle, the Ranger in the game currently does. Owl, though,
oh no,
bulldozing into a box. He's looking for the fight here. He was hoping to have someone reveal themselves with, you know, in shotgun range. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite get that. Crack just gets, you know, demolished as far as his shield goes, and this has gone from what was a very brazen and bold play into just a terrible decision for them. I think they realized that here. But what more can they do? Hold up. As I say that, though, Crack just finds himself elimination, so they buy themselves a little bit of time here. They can actually survive this.
Yeah, they were able to get above Storm Surge, too, and it looks like they were actually able to successfully get that reboot and get themselves in a position. But,
Can't believe it.
Oh, no. Look, Rise is out again. Ager's playing by himself, and this is a worse position than he was before. Just barely above Surge, but more importantly, he's one player in a big lobby with not much to his name.
Yep, not much to his name here. At least he has some minis. He has some builds to work with here, and still a small chance at finding his way to reboot Van there. But being held by Quad Magnolia, I mean, that's my pick. They're currently in 13th place, so pretty solid game 1. Off to a decent pacing here. On over to Owl and Cracked, who, again, I have no idea how Cracked managed to find that elimination there. They were in the worst of positions. Cracked didn't even have any shield when they entered into this fight there, so getting into a box, finding himself a little one piece, that's the strength of the heavy shotgun. Now they have the advantage here. Now they have the high ground, and they don't have as much pressure looming on top of them. For all we know, Sparebow down here could be the team underneath the Surge, and there's only one team, and they know that. So they're trying to push this here because that's just a sign of desperation coming from the other side, and all of a sudden, they get another 2, and look at that. Look at that. All that loot straight into their inventory.
Max only coming out of Cracked here. We see the big shots coming through with that heavy shotgun, and that's why you hold it. You got good aim. That thing is really worth holding. But now Cracked, and I will have to make a play here. We're gonna see how Rise goes down. Agers makes a play. They're getting in, trying to get some Storm Surge damage, but not without losing his teammate first. Unfortunate. We'll have to go again, and hope game 3 is a little kinder to him.
Tough part about that is Rise and Agers did a great job winning the fight for the most part. They did their part. There was another team looking on in. More impressive how Agers got out of that afterwards, right? Because that should have been, that's it. Everything right there. 2v1 spot, no shield, and
Shake my head.
down in the feed they've had.
It's amazing. He's talking about motorcycle insurance, and people love it. You know, of course, they love the savings they're going to get with Geico,
still
but
here,
it goes beyond that.
You deserve to save. Heard that before.
You deserve to save.
I know.
I need you to hear me. You deserve to save.
I deserve to save.
I mean, he has a way of making you feel seen.
Bundle car and motorcycle insurance and save at geico.com.
Pretty bad spot they're in, right? They have all these teams sitting comfortable up above them. They want to fight for a little bit more here.
Yeah, and everyone's gonna have to rotate soon. So as much as they want to fight within one another, this only works for so long because you can't fight the storm. It always wins. So we see Rokin going ahead, getting in, and this is one of those smarter plays. This is why he's a veteran. You see him putting that metal in place, then you back up. You're like, all right, let my metal get strong, then we'll go back to the base once it's fully built, and we can make some plays on some other players looking to rotate. Now tuning in with some other veterans in Avery and Muzz.
Yeah, very experienced duo right here as well. 350 damage above. But Avery eyeing up the build piece in front of him. Now, mind you, these are getting weakened by another opponent, so that might be the opportunity to go ahead and jump on in. And we've seen surprise plays like that happen before. Agers still alive here, somehow holding on. But for how much longer can he? As he is now 140 damage below the Surge. Clarity and Slacks are the opponents in mind here, the closest duo to him. The next up, if you will, for Agers as far as who he's going to target if he has to jump in a box. He doesn't have a great loadout to jump in a box either. Now that I'm looking at it, no SMG in hand, so a bit out of the loop here.
Yeah, this is where you need that heavy shotgun to hit a headshot from a distance and then dive the other player. Like you said, you can't necessarily jump in on someone, especially if they have the SMG. You're just not going to win that trade. So he's going to start going for the piece control, trying to claim pieces and get in on Clarity over here. Ultimately, he's got to make a play soon because Storm Surge is going to start hitting him. And we do see Clarity. He's keen to it. He's like, I don't need to fight you, man. I'm going to back off. You have to come into my builds. And if you want to take this fight, I'll give it to you, but we're gonna fight on my terms.
That's right, and if they're paying attention, they'll start listening in and hearing the sound cues of the Surge happening right above them. But Agers will also be very much aware to the fact that he can make this edit and go straight up. He's gonna wait it out though. One player has to go down. He's gonna lean into the med kit here. He thought about going for it, and I think his timing is off now. This is as unfortunate as it can get for someone. He is the sole player. Slacks and Clarity recognize it. They hear it. They look at the map. They look at the number count. They're like, yep, it's just him. Let's go get him. And they find it. Quick snipe up right there. That's 3-point swing for them. Whom, by the way, they're already inside the top 10. So very, very important elim. Very important refresher as we start approaching this endgame.
As the rotates come through, we see Joji and Rokane. This is that elim they were able to pick up earlier. Just both players taking those aim duels. Look at that. Hey, that's what you put your practice in for. That's what you need. The SMG getting the fire and both of them able to win those fights. And now they're flying through. We knew they had the chili chug splashes. Whoa. So, oh my, where are we going?
Joji slipping and sliding right through those builds there. It's always so scary when you jump in a box with an opponent, but now with the sliding mechanic, man, it just makes it feel just a little bit different. It hits different as Joji gets sniped up right there. Those opponents are not going to allow him to get too far away. End up closing that gap, even with the speed advantage they had under the peppers here. And look at this, man. They had everything they could have asked for, all the big loots, the big movement too, and shut down here. Rokane has to make a pretty much big decision. Use all the heals or wait it out. He's gonna go ahead and use them here. Tries to fight his way back. He's trying to find Joji's loot. Joji had the other half of those heals here, so if he can, there it is. Oh no. No way.
Gets him. Yeah, it's just enough, able to find that elim, and that, whether or not he gets that refresh, just getting those little bit of HP, and he is actually going to be able to get all of that. Look at that monster.
And he just gets to sit on it, pop the heal as well. This is the best case scenario for him now. I mean, with the mythic hands too, this is it. He can definitely steal away some placement right here. All he has to do is break out, have a little opportunity, get into an open field, but he's at max material as well, so there's everything going for him at this point. He's gonna elevate himself up, get up to the high ground. Other players flying around too. This is Fortnite for you. This is the new season if you've ever seen it. It's high action, it's high octane, and all of a sudden now Rokane is in this game, up and out of harm's way. On high ground, Zuck once again up top here, trying to play a big game here. They're currently sitting inside 4th place. This game already amounting up to 6 points for them, and they're looking to make a little more. Storm Surge is active. They're not too comfortable here. A few tags from them is going to be the difference that allows them to alleviate this pressure coming in shortly, but Rocane, man, still alive here, still fighting for this one.
Yeah, these are the plays that get you into the finals. You gotta do something special to separate yourself. And we saw a few players go down there. We're down to 30, and that's quick. We were just above the 50 mark. Lots of players fell on that rotate. Rokane's doing the most. High ground's being fought for. It's Viola and Knifer. They went for it all day yesterday. They're going for it again today. And they've claimed high ground, at least for the moment, but they're on the backside. They're exposed, and it looks like Reciprocal and 20 know that. They're gonna do a front side high ground take, and it looks like it's successful. If Viola cannot get forward, but I guess Reciprocal and 20 don't want height. They're just going to take some shots and let it be.
Yeah, and Knifer slipped off the high ground there too, so pretty unfortunate for him. Now he's down in this low ground. He's going to have to make his way back up. Didn't seem like he had a lot of builds to work with either. Clarity G, decision. Enemy of 2 in front of him, and he goes for the play, but no, has to back out. Big shot right there, but not big enough to go ahead and shut down Dusky on the backside of the zone here. Dusky living off the siphon now. That's another big set of placement points for him. Nosh is still up alongside Goofy here, trying to make his way in. Opening edits here, scrambling, lost in the sauce for a second there, but okay, finds his bearings here. Back onto the track he goes. They have an elim. They're fighting their way to top 10 here. It's just looking better and better on high ground. Jackson getting a little bit of pressure onto Knifer there. Dubs is gonna fall, and right here, oh no, just outside the top 10 too. That was big placement they could have needed here. Look at this.
Now they're going to push into somebody else's builds, but Zone actually pulls in their favor. They can stay on this side and rotate around all those builds, but no, they get caught up. Now Jackson and Fabled Taco have taken the high ground. They're on height looking to claim it. Nick stayed alive to a top 10, but Teo and Pledge now making a play for the high ground. It is chaos up above, and everyone wants a piece.
Yeah, definitely, and Jackson is going to have to give it up. He comes all the way down here, now inside the top 7. Still has some big movement to work off of, and it's going to be enough to at least keep him in the game. Buy him another day, buy him another moment here, but no more mats. He needs a big shot. He finds a big shot, and he is showing that he has got what it takes to clutch up here. Is today going to be the day of solo clutches? We will see. Can he keep up the work? It's going to be a little bit harder, but that med miss him in the ground. They don't even see him on this backside here. More enemies inside the storm. This could be free siphon if he plays into it. Instead, he waits for the zone to try to bounce back. It's not going to come back. He takes the passive route. This is the last tick here. 2 more left. He tries to swing his way in, and it's close, but no cigar, unfortunately, as he gets taken out there. And now, Pledge and Teo, 7 elims, high ground, top 3 situation here, and a solo in the mix. All they have to do is win this 2-on-2.
Pledge is back in his element. He strives and thrives in these end games, and he's been cleaning up everybody. Now it's actually a 2v1. Mamtating's all by himself. He's got little mats and trying to get through these old builds. He's taking storm damage, and it almost looks like things are on fire. So Teo and Pledge, they should know in a second. Yes, now it's a 2v1. Just spray on down. This game's all over.
And just a couple builds as well. They're just going to continue to shred and rip on through. Mama Ting's going to eventually run out of resources here. That's probably the play that they're looking to set up here. And Pledge just playing it nice and smart here, taking his time, possibly lining up the next win condition here, as they do have the med kit. But no, he goes all the way in. He looks for the right camera peek. They find him lurking, sleeping his way through the low ground here. And man, he's just like a fish out of water at this point. All they got to do is come through, find that one tag, and there it is. Lost in the sauce, mixed up between the two. The pinch was good.
Give me them. He finds them just underneath, and nice clean plays. There were so many high ground contests that game. Everyone wanted to grab a piece of it, but ultimately Teo and Pledge walking away with that victory royale. A lot of eliminations too. That's kind of been the key. A ton of eliminations for the teams that are winning these matches.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to bode well for the rest of the opponents inside the lobby too. Remember, those big point teams, you want to get them out of there if you are one of the teams down at the bottom here for Pledge and Teo. Them qualifying their way through after having a great game 1 and a, obviously even better game 2. This is good for the rest of the lobby. Big point teams moving on out.
Yeah, they played well yesterday. They just narrowly missed out on that qualification. So happy to see those two push through, get that victory royale. And hey, Pledge, another player that has won a winner-take-all game. Maybe that's the theme of today.
Yeah, definitely. He's been here before. He's done it once before, and now he gets to do it again alongside Teo here. Big game for them, Adam. Tell me what you got for us.
Well, I, for one, I'm loving the winning mentality here. 13th, yesterday they come back, bounce back in game number 2, and take the Victory Royale, going through to finals next weekend. Teo and Pledge there. Sundown, there was, I mean, SBG alluded to it then as well, a lot of retakes on that high ground. Those guys, as soon as they knew the up top, you mentioned this earlier about the maps and players down below just raining SMG bullets in particular, and you know for a fact that they're going to run out eventually, and you can just dominate and win through.
Yeah, just because you're under less amounts of pressure, it requires more covering off your sides rather than just covering the single tarp. Then being able to execute towards the end, luckily for them, this is a pretty easy one in that circumstance, but actually gaining the high ground was relatively difficult. A good job making sure they got these refreshes on the backside of the zone. You can see here right now that Teo is currently sitting at 0 mats, but Pledge is able to go back into the zone and scoop up all of those extra ones. And then this final Elan, like I said, just fish in a barrel, whatever euphemism you want to use here, is just so
Yeah, really funny there. He's looking for him. He doesn't find him when he rounds the corner, and then all of a sudden he just pops down right in front of me. He's like, oh, there we go. Finally find that last elimination there. But yeah, I love that point that Adam made right there. We weren't seeing like any high ground retakes after half and half in qualifiers 1 and 2. But coming into the semifinals, we've seen plenty. And even that game right there, and a high ground retake on the 8th zone of the game, that's almost unseen. So very well done by Teo and Pledge to have the awareness to realize that they can actually go for it then, and it pays off big.
It does. I mean, we're seeing some of our top players as well here who aren't really performing. He's only 2 games in, of course, but we saw that Aegis having to kind of go solo there with Rise going out early on. We saw Nosh as well. Good start to proceedings, but with Goober, but again, just not really going all the way at the end there, and it costing them ultimately.
Yeah, you have to, like we said, we have to put it all together. It's only been 2 games, but even then, you say it's costing them. I'm looking at the bottom left-hand corner. Until that Victory Royale ended up popping off, they were still in first place, which means when you pull those winners out and we go and look at the leaderboard, they're doing fine. You have to be in that top 6 when all is said and done. We have 3 more matches, but they're well on pace in terms of the points so far.
Yeah, and that just shows, even Adam's point there, it shows how easy it is to kind of fall into this, like, mentality is like, oh man, we didn't get to Victory Royale, and that's what gets you straight to the finals. But no, you still have this top 6, right? So it can be kind of bittersweet to get a top 5 because you're like, that's how close we were to that Victory Royale. But like, no, you just gained a plethora of points that go towards that leaderboard. So you got to keep your mind in the game and make sure that you are looking at all the win conditions here.
That's right. Keep your mind in the game. I love that from you, David. You can see on the screen right now our 2 qualified winners going through after games 1 and 2. We have Nounty and Sprite, of course, in game 2 there. We had Pledge and we had Teo joining them next week. We're now to 28 teams, if my maths is correct. I say never do maths on broadcast. I did it there. I think I'm correct. I'm going to roll with it. Guys, over to you for the leaderboards as well. Sundown is looking pretty. And, you know, I'm eating my own words here. Nosh and Goober are top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's what I said. Keep an eye on that bottom left-hand corner. The team number represents where they're at on the leaderboard, and they're right there setting the pace currently. But the pace has also slowed down a little bit after last game as we keep an eye on that 6th place line. Knifer and Byla able to just scoot themselves up. They're there at 56, but we can see the average points has just slipped a little bit lower. Now it's 28 average for that 6th place spot, and only 3 points separating 6 and 7.
Yeah, and Slacks and Clarity holding strong there, 9th position, still in striking distance. Adam, what are your thoughts on your prediction right there?
I'm feeling good. Again, I think it was Slacks went down earlier in the last game there. So, you know, I think it's proving that you kind of do need to have both players, at least till like the 8th zone to kind of really stand a chance, I think personally. But still, I'm feeling good. I think all of our teams we predicted are there or thereabouts in the kind of top 10. So there's 3 games to go. Anything's possible, but I'm feeling confident. Let's see how MDF and SBG are feeling as well as we head into game 3. It's looking very, very exciting over here. How about you guys? How's it for you?
Hey, we're just warming up. Things are just getting started. We're approaching the halfway mark here at SBG, but the few prestigious games are starting to run thin now.
Oh yeah, this has been a great start, but ultimately it's like 2 tournaments in one because you get those Victory Royales and then you also get the placement, the consistency. So it's multiple stories that we're watching here, and we've seen Beef and Nick really strive and make it to these end games, and I want to see them take that next step, or you know, they could just be our beautiful story for the day, consistently making those end games and run away with that leaderboard.
Definitely. And remember, one thing to really think about, guys, is teams start to win, they are no longer allowed to participate in the next queue. So these are draw spots that get to open up.
Yeah, they definitely are. But hey, somebody was already landing with Teo and Pledge. Creo and Vert were trying to play there. They wanted that drop spot, and apparently people were going after Agers and Rise down at Greasy at their drop spot. So I mean, everyone's thinking that same thing. Great minds think alike, Monster.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate seeing Rise get taken out there inside Greasy. Teams rotating a little bit quicker than he might have anticipated, but maybe even landed on him. We didn't get the full story there in the early game. So hopefully our observers can go ahead and check in with Agers and Rise to see, what's going on down there. Has someone decided to kind of invade the space here, or was it just a missed timing for them down there? But either way, Agers and Rise, surely a team that can, pop off now, right? When they were contested, they were still pulling top 10s, still being very much competitive in the overarching scheme of things. Now that they're their team, right? The team that they was going head to head, Nounzy Inspired no longer there. They still have a shot to qual. It's almost the same like we saw between Macwood and Donnie, Bucky and Cam, right? These are teams that had everything in their power to qual over at the Bugle, but they all pushed through to finals. So now it's the same problem. It's if anything, it's even bigger problem. They have a drop spot that's highly contested and teams are landing there. So we'll see how it all unfolds. The story's just beginning here. Game number 3 is underway.
Game number 3, and we will see where we're going to wind up and who winds up taking this one home. We've seen some contests happen here at Covert, and that's where we're going once again. These players are trying to decide who gets what piece of this and who gets to push somebody off. It seems like nobody's changed their mind thus far. Princess Wolf doesn't get any shots, a little too timid, doesn't pull the trigger quick enough to get any shots done, and now we'll see where AMT and Princess Wolf go. They've typically rotated out of here. It does look like 20 and Co are still fighting.